Imagine scrolling through your feed and seeing the headline: "A body has been found inside a Tesla registered to rising music star D4v." At first, it doesn't even sound real. It sounds like the plot of a dark Netflix drama, the kind of story you'd expect to binge late at night, not something happening in the real world. But this isn't fiction. This is an actual headline that has stunned fans, shocked the music industry, and left the public with more questions than answers. Authorities in Los Angeles confirmed that human remains were discovered inside the front trunk, or frunk, of a Tesla that had been impounded. And here's the kicker. That vehicle was registered to none other than David Anthony Burke, better known as D4vd, the young artist who shot to fame with his haunting hit Romantic Homicide. The discovery has turned into one of the most bizarre and unsettling stories of the year. On one hand, we have a promising artist in the middle of a global tour, living out what many would call a dream. On the other hand, we now have police detectives and coroner investigators trying to unravel the mystery of how a lifeless body ended up inside a luxury electric car tied to his name. And while headlines explode across social media, fans are caught in the middle, some rushing to defend the singer, others speculating wildly, and most just left confused. Today, we're going to break it all down. We'll go step by step, from the moment the Tesla was found, to the shocking discovery inside, to what we know so far about the investigation, and even how fans and the industry are reacting. This is not just about gossip. It's about piecing together a mystery that feels stranger than fiction. So grab a seat, because the story of the body in D4vd's Tesla is only getting started. Before we dive deeper into the events in Los Angeles, let's take a moment to talk about D4vd himself. Because to understand why this story has blown up the way it has, we have to know who he is and why so many people are talking. D4vd, whose full name is David Anthony Burke, was born in Queens, New York in 2005. Yes, you heard that right. He's only 20 years old. Yet in just a couple of years, he has managed to carve out a name for himself in the competitive and fast-paced world of music. He first started gaining traction during the pandemic, creating music quite literally in his sister's closet. With just his phone, some software, and a natural gift for melody, he crafted songs that felt raw, emotional, and hauntingly unique. Then came the breakout moment: Romantic Homicide. That song went viral in 2022, not just because it sounded different, but because it captured the exact kind of emotional intensity people felt at the time. Moody, heartbreaking, almost cinematic. It was the kind of track that sticks with you long after it ends. Millions streamed it, TikTok picked it up, and soon D4vd wasn't just another kid making music in his bedroom. He was an artist to watch. But it didn't stop there. He followed up with songs like Here With Me, further cementing his reputation as a young talent with something real to say. Critics praised his ability to mix indie, R&B, and alternative sounds, while fans connected deeply with his lyrics. Fast forward to today, and D4vd is on his Withered World tour, performing across major cities, with thousands of fans showing up to see him live. His career is climbing, his fan base is growing, and many believe this was just the beginning of what could be a long-lasting run in the industry. So when news broke that a body was found inside a Tesla registered to him, the shock wasn't just about the crime itself. It was about the sudden clash between the bright, rising career of a 20-year-old star and a dark, unexplained tragedy that no one saw coming. Now let's rewind to where the actual story begins, with the car itself. The Tesla in question was a 2023 model, sleek, modern, and registered in Texas. At some point, it ended up abandoned in Los Angeles. For reasons that haven't yet been fully disclosed, the vehicle was towed and brought to an impound lot in Hollywood. At first glance, this wasn't anything unusual. Cars get impounded all the time, sometimes because of parking violations, expired tags, or because they've been left unattended for too long. The Tesla sat in the lot for days, just another car, among dozens of others. But then something strange happened. Staff at the tow yard reported noticing a foul odor coming from the vehicle. It wasn't the kind of smell you ignore. It was strong, disturbing, and impossible to mistake for anything else. Out of concern, they contacted authorities. The Los Angeles Police Department responded, and soon the vehicle was being inspected. And that's when the chilling discovery was made. Inside the front trunk compartment, commonly called the frunk in Tesla models, officers found human remains wrapped in what appeared to be a plastic bag. Think about that for a second. This wasn't a trunk in the back of an old sedan. This was the front trunk of a high-tech electric car. The fact that someone had placed a body there, wrapped it up, and left it to sit inside an impounded vehicle is beyond disturbing. The moment police made the discovery, everything changed. What was once a routine impound became a crime scene. Investigators quickly moved in, cordoning off the area, documenting the evidence, and beginning the process of figuring out who the deceased was, how they ended up there, and what connection, if any, there might be to the registered owner of the vehicle. Now here's where things get interesting and complicated. At the time of this recording, authorities have not released the identity of the victim. That's standard procedure, as the coroner has to first confirm the identity and notify next of kin. But what we do know is that the remains were badly decomposed, making the investigation more challenging. We also know that the Tesla was registered to D4vd. That fact alone has made headlines explode across the internet because anytime a celebrity's name is attached to a police investigation, it instantly becomes front-page news. But here's the key point. Just because the vehicle was registered to him doesn't automatically mean he was involved. Cars get loaned out. They get borrowed. They get left behind for repairs. There are countless scenarios where the registered owner isn't the one using the vehicle day to day. Still, the LAPD is treating this as a death investigation. That means they're looking into everything. How the Tesla got there, when it was abandoned, who last drove it, and of course, the circumstances of the body inside. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office is also involved, working to determine the cause of death. Was it foul play? Was it something else? Those are questions no one has answers to yet. What we do know is that this is not a small case. This isn't something that'll quietly disappear. With the involvement of a rising music star's name, the spotlight is brighter, and the demand for answers is much louder. As soon as the story broke, it went viral. Major outlets picked it up, social media exploded, and fans rushed to share their reactions. On platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, you could see two major groups forming. One group is deeply worried, not just about the situation, but about D4vd himself. They point out that he's just 20 years old in the middle of a huge tour, and that it's unfair to assume anything without facts. For them, this is just a shocking twist that doesn't make sense, and they're waiting for more details. The other group, however, is speculating. Some are jumping to conclusions, trying to piece together their own theories about what happened, who the victim might be, and what role the car's registration plays in the bigger story. And then, of course, there's the dark humor crowd, the people making memes and jokes, because that's the internet. It doesn't matter how serious a story is, there's always someone trying to turn it into a punchline. But overall, the mood is one of shock and confusion. Fans who were just excited about the Withered tour now find themselves glued to updates about a case no one saw coming. Here's another important detail. While this was unfolding in Los Angeles, D4vd himself was on tour. He had a scheduled performance in Minneapolis, and just days later, another show in Los Angeles. His schedule has been public, his concerts well documented, and he's been actively performing for thousands of fans. That adds another layer to the confusion. How does a car registered to him end up abandoned with a body inside in a city where he's set to perform while he's busy touring? Again, we can't jump to conclusions, but it's these little details that make the mystery so gripping. So far, we've covered the discovery, the background, the investigation, and the fan reactions. But the story doesn't end here. In fact, this is just the beginning. Because the real questions still remain. Who was the person found inside the Tesla? How did the vehicle end up in that impound lot? And what does this mean for D4vd's career moving forward? When you peel back the layers of this story, what stands out most are the unanswered questions. The biggest one, of course, is the identity of the victim. Police have confirmed human remains were found, but beyond that, almost nothing is known. Was this someone connected to D4vd personally? A stranger? A friend of a friend? or someone completely unrelated whose fate just happened to collide with a car linked to him. Then there's the timeline. When did the Tesla end up abandoned? How long was the body inside before the tow yard staff noticed the odor? And most importantly, who was last seen driving it? These questions are crucial because they determine not only what happened, but also how investigators build their case. Until those details are confirmed, everything else is speculation. And yet, speculation is exactly what's flooding social media right now. Let's take a step back and think about how law enforcement usually handles cases like this. When a body is discovered in a vehicle, police generally start with a few investigative angles. 1. The vehicle's history. They'll trace the Tesla's movements, where it's been, traffic cameras, license plate scans, and even GPS data. Teslas in particular are high-tech cars that track an enormous amount of data, from charging locations to trip histories. Investigators will almost certainly pull that digital footprint. Number 2, the victim's identity. Identifying the deceased is step 1. From there, police can determine whether this was someone known to the car's registered owner or whether their connection is completely random. 3, surrounding circumstances. They'll look at the impound records, who authorized the tow, what paperwork exists, and whether anyone at the tow yard noticed suspicious activity when the car was brought in. Number 4, possible criminal activity. Detectives will also consider whether the victim's death is linked to foul play, or whether the person may have died under other circumstances and was then hidden inside the car. Each of these angles takes time, but eventually they form a clearer picture of what happened. For D4vd himself, this situation is both surreal and dangerous. Not physically dangerous, but reputationally. At just 20 years old, he's still at the early stages of his career. He's on a world tour, building a fan base and carving out his space in the music industry. For an artist, this is a crucial moment. The momentum is everything. But stories like this have a way of overshadowing everything else. For fans who just discovered him, their first association might not be his music. It might be that body in the Tesla story. It's not fair, of course, but it's the reality of celebrity culture. One scandal, one shocking headline can rewrite an entire narrative overnight. The good news, if there is any, is that right now, D4vd himself is not accused of any wrongdoing. The reports are very clear. The Tesla is registered to him, but that doesn't mean he was the last person to drive it, or that he had anything to do with what was found inside. Still, every update about the case drags his name back into the spotlight. And whether he likes it or not, the court of public opinion is already forming judgments. At the end of the day, here's what we know. A Tesla registered to singer D4vd was impounded in Los Angeles. A foul odor led staff to discover human remains in the front trunk. The victim has not yet been identified. The investigation is ongoing. That's it. Everything else is speculation. But in today's media landscape, speculation spreads faster than facts. And that's what makes this story so fascinating and so dangerous for everyone involved. For fans, the hope is that D4vd can continue his career without this tragedy derailing it. For investigators, the mission is clear. Uncover the truth about the victim, the vehicle, and the chain of events that led to this disturbing discovery. Until then, the mystery of the body in the Tesla will remain one of the most shocking and puzzling stories of the year. And as always, the world will be watching.